Welcome to The Difference Engine, the show for founders, funders, and the category curious.
Don't confuse size, don't confuse valuation with category leadership.
I'm not the only person frustrated by this.
You disagree with my analysis.
I do.
You either acquire or you are acquired.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
And it's proof that you're winning the argument.
We all know history is written by the winners.
Hey, Jono.
Hey, Paul.
What's on this week?
We're going to be talking about something new, the Apex category, and our SuperApp's it.
We're also going to talk about the EU and its far-reaching and very fast-acting AI Act.
But first, back to Microsoft and Google and the AI wars. Another week, another battle in the ongoing big tech AI wars. Yet again, the two protagonists are Microsoft versus Google. So Microsoft has announced that the British AI pioneer, Mustafa Suleyman, is going to lead its new formed division, Microsoft AI, along with some other people from that firm being Inflection AI. But Suleyman is best known for co-founding one of the leading UK AI firms, Google DeepMind, or DeepMind as it was then. In fact, Google bought them back in 2014.
So that's 2 for 1. Microsoft hits the bloody nose of Google yet again.
It looks like Microsoft has won.
The way they're trying to pull this off is to say that it's an acqui-hire, and the way that Sullivan's trying to talk about it is that this is a strategic move. It doesn't look good for the non-centralization of AI. It looks very much like centralization.
Make no mistake about this. This is a huge coup for Microsoft. Google has to be very concerned about this, before we think about centralization, because, they're faced with a number of chill winds blowing through Mountain View at the moment. The inevitable decline of conventional search because of AI is going to pervade that. We're going to be searching in very different ways in the future. Yeah, and there are uncertainties over online advertising revenues.
I think these aren't the only questions. There are a bunch of other questions all about this acquisition, acqui-hire, call it what you will. Firstly, let's look at the investors of Inflection AI. And is this an inflection point for VCs who've piled lots and literally billions into AI? And we're being told that the investors are going to be, quote unquote, made good. That, it transpires, means a 50% uplift on their investment in the company in the highly risky space of AI. Is that a good return for a VC, Jonathan? You lots of fingers in the pies of finance. Are you happy with that?
No, traditionally not.
Hell no.
But we are living in a very different world at the moment. There are lots of choking factors going on in AI. We're going to talk later about what the EU is doing, but we're also faced with NVIDIA being the company of the moment and a restricted supply of the chips that they produce that are going to be central to delivering AI.
Another question I've got, Reid Hoffman. This guy made or sold LinkedIn to Microsoft, that name again, for $22 billion back in 2016. He's also an advisor to Microsoft last time I looked. So what is his role in the disposal of a company, because he was a shareholder in Inflection, that has gone for a mere 50% uplift when other investors might say, I was looking for more like 15,000%.
Ultimately, as one would say, this might be a strategic rather than a financial move. And timing is everything in the IT industry, and it certainly is in investment.
And not to say I told you so, but back in February, we talked about Google's response to AI and said they must do better. And since then, as far as I know, they've rebranded their product to Gemini from Bard. This is not strategic stuff.
It feels a little bit too little, too late. Again, you're right. We did talk about it before. We highlighted that Microsoft had gone all out on AI data centers in the UK and in the ecosystem that surround them, where it seemed to be a footnote in the following announcement from Google. So what the hell is going on in Mountain View?
Lots of confusion reigning. And just to add to it, our man, Mr. Mustak, you're another great first-generation British tech entrepreneur, and a super eloquent man who I had the pleasure of seeing give a speech at the CogX Festival last year. This guy really knows what's going on in AI. He announced in the hours after his departure, weirdly on a Saturday morning, the concentration of power in AI is bad for us all. I decided to step down to fix this at Stability and Elsewhere. I'd love to know how, dude. I would have thought it would be better to stay exactly where you are and keep Suleiman in place and duke it out, instead of which it looks a little bit like a capitulation.
I'm sure this will unfold over the next few weeks, and never mind months. So I think what we're seeing is the revenge of the old guard here. We're not talking old; we're talking really old. I mean, Microsoft was founded in '75 when you were probably still at kindergarten, and I was a very stroppy teenager at that time. Google was founded 23 years later in '98, I think. Two different eras: the desktop era, the web era. But, Google appears to be walking off wounded as Microsoft prepares to dominate. It's like they have reinvented themselves. They are playing in different categories, and they're not the only company that's using AI to reinvent themselves. I mean, we just mentioned earlier, NVIDIA. NVIDIA is totally reinventing themselves in a new category, but it hasn't happened overnight. They've been at it for about 10 years. What's happening at the dominant players, the Intels, the AMDs of this world?
They'll be coming, and Apple's coming, of course. I mean, I think we all want to know, who is going to be the winner out of this chaos? Is it Google? Is it Microsoft? Is it Apple? Is it Musk? We're not hearing too much at the moment from the small guys. And I hope that they're not retiring off hurt, and some of the moves we've seen where people are retiring from the field of battle isn't a great look for diversity of category, isn't a great look for tech. And we have spoken to a couple of folks in Europe. There's a Danish firm we're speaking to trying to take AI on. And this is the $64 trillion question. There was a show famously that had the $64,000 question. $1 million doesn't touch it these days. You need 500 million to get involved in this game. So I'm calling it the $64 trillion question. Who is going to win this war? How's it all going to play out? It's fascinating.
History would tell us we haven't actually seen this level of playing as a new paradigm comes through. So I think we are in genuine new territory here. Some people are already calling the top of the AI boom. I generally think this is some form of inflection point.
See what you did there? Are you saying that this is lacking stability?
Yes. Well, I think it's an instability point, actually. I suspect this is not the beginning of the end. It's actually the end of the beginning.
Did Winston Churchill said that?
He's a source of great quotes.
Can you do the accent?
No.
Okay, fine. So what you're saying is it's an inflection point for AI. The big guys look like they're running away with it, but come on, small guys, we're rooting for you, and we'll certainly help you if you want to build a category to take them on. That's what categories are all about, but not the end of the beginning of the end.
No, not the beginning of the end of the beginning.
It's so hard.
I think if Churchill had said it like you, we'd have been done for.
Thank God I'm not leading us into war, but the AI wars are keeping us all very busy, and more to be read on our blog, and we'd love to hear your comments on LinkedIn and other places. Today, super apps, are they the apex category?
So if you've been listening to us over the last few episodes, you'll realize that we do talk a lot about ecosystems. Now, we talk about ecosystems in the context of the tech industry, but of course, ecosystems come from a natural phenomenon. And in most ecosystems, there is a thing called the apex predator. Ooh. Now, yes, be very scared indeed. If we think about category and we think about ecosystems, there therefore must be the idea of the apex category. Now, one of the unique features of the IT industry is the network effect, where whole systems effectively build themselves through user interaction and around a product or an app. But imagine that process working with category design to create a super app.
A super app? Now, whoa, what's that?
Well, I would say that would be a portal through which you could access every app that enables your working, family and leisure life.
Now, so a bit like a supermarket for all of your tech services.
Yes, absolutely. A sort of Costco app. I know Costco is very dear to your heart. It is the world's third most successful
The hot dogs
retailer.
Are legendary.
That they are. So for creators, that's got to be the holy grail, an entire economy on one app.
Because this brings in another concept, time. Time is not money. It's much rarer and much more precious than money.
I'll tell you what's even rarer than time. Attention.
Yes. And you can only give attention for a certain amount of time. The two are very related. So why would a super app even work? Well, given that time's the only thing that money cannot buy, although the Beatles might argue about that.
And Einstein might have something to say about that.
He might do. If time is the only thing that money cannot buy, the attention of customers is finite. So keeping folks on your app, watching the ads that you're selling, harvesting the data they're giving you when everybody's spend their full day doom scrolling on apps, the only way to increase your value is to own all of the attention with a super app.
Okay, so we've seen again the tech giants trying to do this. I mean, if you think about Microsoft on the desktop, it rolled out lots and lots of little applications to keep you in that Microsoft environment. Google have done exactly the same thing. You know, there's been various forms of buy and build going on. Instagram, WhatsApp have all been bought up. Their LinkedIn was bought up, again, to keep you in an environment. But it strikes me these are still quite a long way away from a super app. And they're not actually constructed in the way that we would think a super app would be.
So I think it's interesting. So you've got the Microsoft Office productivity suite, which now includes Teams, of course. And you've got the Google Office equivalent. And then you've got, as you say, Facebook pretty much owning non-work downtime, which with working from home obviously creeps in a lot. They do own Insta, WhatsApp, and for the grannies, Facebook. But a super app, you want everything as much as you can, a one-stop shop, a continent, a universe of attention, somewhat like the Hotel California. You can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave. So who are the super apps?
But I don't know. Before we look at that, I mean, guess what? Elon Musk has said he's going to build a super app around X.
He said it in October 23. That's his stated intention. I think he didn't use the word super app. He called it the everything app. But it's the same thing, right? That is the intention, is to give lots of people lots of other reasons to stick on the X platform. And I'm sure it's coming. He's not the only guy, right? The original super apps were from China. And if you go to China, which I have done, and watch people on their phones, they tend not to be Apple phones in state-run businesses where I happen to be. But everyone's got two phones, an Apple phone and the work phone. But on the super app, they're doing a lot of things. They're chatting, they're ordering groceries, they're doing banking, they're doing gaming, they're doing e-commerce, they're IDing themselves, they're getting through government checks for COVID and other diseases. They're being told whether they're a good citizen or not. There's a lot going on those super apps.
Is that a classic function that they were comparatively late to the party compared to West Coast organizations, and they've had the benefit of being able to start from scratch at a later point? Oh, and a pretty homogenous society and homogenous governing body.
Yeah, we're not talking freewheeling capitalism here.
We certainly ain't.
We ain't. And I think Tencent owns WeChat. I'm not 100% sure, but whoever does, they got a lot of attention. They've got a lot of the attention economy going on. We also see creeping super apps from Amazon and Uber. So already you have the bikes and you have the food and you have the taxis. What's to come next? Who knows? Amazon has become a major advertising business from zero just because it's got everybody shopping on it and it knows what you bought. Genius, right? TikTok, mentioned in the US as being the fastest growing and quote unquote most dangerous, rumored soon to be outlawed. Yeah, there you
Banned.
go. Outlawed.
I think that's the word.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But you cannot argue that is a leader in the attention economy. The algorithms are perfect for keeping you hooked. It's doom scrolling on steroids.
Do we think it's time for somebody to come out of nowhere and start building a super app? Or do we think it's about who is going to make the smartest acquisitions and put them together to give one view of the world?
My preference is that the super apps don't dominate, which might lead us on to thinking that legislation is a good thing. I know that's a hard thing to think about, but we might think some legislation is required. Will the dominance of these super apps worry us as much as the AI centralization that we're talking about?
Probably not, because I think dominance of super apps is actually a facet of the last generation of IT, not of the IT we are going into now.
So let's maybe summarize a little bit here and maybe a little bit of light. I had a meeting with in a good old fashioned British pub with a serial tech entrepreneur, British, who was an AI pioneer in the 80s when AI was called neural networks. And he is getting the band together to create a small app that will attack the big guys. These apex categories don't have to dominate as long as we keep the faith and start innovating and building out new and different applications that people want. So hopefully we're not going down the rabbit hole to say, as Jonathan Haidt has just said in his new book, the anxious generation, or children see nothing but super apps. I think we believe there's room for innovation. We have to believe that, right?
No, I think there will always be room for innovation. I mean, General Motors did not succeed in supplying every sort of car to every sort of person all the way around the world, no matter how much they tried and no matter how much their competitors, such as Ford, tried. So, I don't think we are actually going to get to that situation, but we are going to get to a situation where if people have the right amount of backing and buy the right applications, they will become semi-monopolistic. And we have to watch out for that.
Yeah, it's a big worry. But we do think there's much space for much more innovation. And whether or not super apps dominate the current list of apps, that doesn't have to be, it always is. This is when real category thinking could be very useful as opposed to portfolio thinking, which is your apex predator. We're here to help. So hit us up on LinkedIn. We'd love to know what you think about super apps and whether you think they're going to eat the world or get their comeuppance. Okay, next up, shots fired. Legislation or innovation? You've got a snappy headline for this piece.
Yeah, I think so. It takes me back to the 70s. I think it's probably, apologies, Joe Strummer, probably whirring in your grave to this one, but it's AI fought the law, but the EU won.
Well, let's hope that's not the case. The AI boom has been going for about 10 years. So a bit like the overnight success of The Clash and various other rocking bands, this ignores the fact they spent a lot of time getting stuff together and making it so, making the conditions just right that they could win the category of, in this case, I guess, socialist punk rock or whatever you want to call that's their genre. But this month, or this week, in fact, the EU has told us they are getting involved. The lawyers are coming.
Oh, the lawyers are coming? Who's going to make the money out of this? That will be the lawyers. Look, what intrigues me about this is suddenly the EU's woken up. It's piling in with a load of laws. And what I want to be clear on is what is the way to encourage the right sort of AI? Is it legislation or is it actually innovation?
And this thing, the European Union's early March approval of the world's first major set of regulatory ground rules, check this out for lawyer speak, to regulate the mediatized artificial intelligence at the forefront of tech investment. How legalese is that?
Mediatized, my God.
Mediatized. So this Act, born in 2021, divides the technology. And again, look at this 4 categories. There are 3 categories of AI risk, ranging from unacceptable, high, medium, and low hazard. Like, that is a lawyer's paradise. Just tell me which one of those I am, and I'm in that category, and the consequences, as we've seen from previous EU legislation, could be very devastating financially.
But this is sort of interesting, isn't it? Because this isn't just a bunch of lawyers and bureaucrats having a go at it. Isn't Thierry Breton something to do with this?
Well, we know Thierry of old, of course. You and I advised a company that he went on to buy, a company not unlike Teams. And this is a French gentleman who has very much dominated thinking on that side of the channel, let's say, in terms of innovation versus regulation. And here he is popping up, telling us all what the EU is going to do. And to be fair to the EU, they have got it right on data privacy. The GDPR led the world. Yeah. I'm just not sure that they're going to be able to put the AI toothpaste back into the tube.
I think you're dead right on that, because the speed of innovation in AI is just too quick at the moment. Data is data is data is data. The only issue is how much of it is being produced. So to legislate against that is a much easier task.
Yeah, when you've got CEOs in their couples resigning and moving over to big guys, how are you going to get a grip on what's going on in this market? So certainly they have moved fast, the EU. In March, they passed the law. It's going to be approved in May. And so you can expect lawsuits from 2025. It's got to have a lot of companies, mostly American, extremely concerned.
Now, this is going to be legislative whack-a-mole. It
Absolutely.
really is. The whole thing's going to evolve and evolve and evolve and evolve. The issue is, how much is it going to cost to do this, and how much attention is it going to take away from actual innovation?
So let me take the other side of the argument here. The argument says that if we have unbiased AI, we can align all our ethical and sustainable concerns with these investments in tech. You buying that?
No, I'm not buying it. I mean, honestly, asking AI to be non-biased is like asking a human being to be non-biased.
So is this, in fact, a clear swing at the US? Do we think that it's just the EU guys, and let's not forget India and China as well, having a swing at a very successful market that they happen not to be great in?
Are you suggesting the people in Brussels might be using the law to give Europe a bit more breathing space to develop some more powerful competitors in AI?
Possibly. I'm sure the people at Mistral and Aleph Alpha are pretty happy about this. But we've got legislation innovation is like chalk and cheese. We have a terrible reputation for bringing the two of them together. In the UK, we have, half-assed things like personal tax breaks around the EIS and SEIS schemes, which other people see as tax breaks for the rich. We reduce the tax on R&D and hardware investments. Is that enough to truly compete with a global AI competitor? Maybe not. And who can forget Silicon Roundabout? That was a farce. And the pitch at the Palace. We really want to
forget
hide that one.
Don't ever mention that again.
And then Europe has got some pretty rich events. It does okay. It has Slush. It has Web Summit, which are crucibles for innovation. So why do we need this heavy touch from the EU?
I don't know. And I think one of the excuses, again, is that we don't scale European companies to be big enough. Again, because it's convenient to view this as evidence of what we've observed in the past. The EU is concerned, and certainly the UK government is concerned about very, very innovative European companies getting picked off by West Coast companies. Again, we've seen this with DeepMind, We're seeing this with the Suleiman affair, just this
Stability
week.
and a bunch of others. So in conclusion then, we are against this.
I think we are. On balance, Paul, I think we are against this.
It's not a well thought out law. It's very early stage in the market.
It's actually, to use another song title, it's Too Much, Too Young.
You've done too much, much too young. Now you're married with a kid when you could be having fun.
Too much, too young. Absolutely. So we want
not in any way special.
We want competition, not necessarily consensus, if the EU and Europe is going to compete on a global stage. And so we're saying, we've got our eyes on you, EU. We don't like what we see, but we'll give you a shot. So that's it for another episode. Thank you very much for listening. We really appreciate it. Hope the SuperApps and EU AI Act and Google versus Microsoft tickled your fancy. If it did, get hold of us via the blog or LinkedIn. We're always open to conversations. And remember, as always, do not be better. Be different.